Hey everybody, Scott from Watchuseek, and today I am going to be looking at the MONTA Triumph. So MONTA is a micro brand based in the US, right in St. Louis, and their watches are made in Switzerland. And you may know MONTA's sister brand, Everest Straps. They make straps for Rolex and Tudor watches. So MONTA is definitely a micro brand. And they have two watches. They have a dive watch, and they have this guy. So this is the Triumph, and the inspiration on this watch is from military watches. There's three factors that they cite as what they were going for with this guy is legibility, functionality, and durability. So I think the origins may be a field watch, but it's a little on the fancier side. So I'm going to call this a fancy field watch. So this has a little bit more of an upscale, if you will, take on the field watch. So let's go over all the dimensions of the Triumph. So the diameter of the watch is 38.5, and yes, I will say that again, 38.5. So a little smaller than what we're seeing, but I think the watch market is definitely getting smaller with the watches. I think the days of the big, huge dinner plates on the wrist are going away. And I will say, maybe I'm a little biased, but one of my favorite watches that I own is a IWC Mark 15, and it's about the same size. So I'm very familiar with this size watch. The height, it's very thin. It's 9.5 millimeters. We have a lug-to-lug width of 47.3. We have a strap width of 20 millimeters. So normal strap, easy to find aftermarket straps for this. The case material is brushed stainless steel. So you can see we have brushing on the side here. The bezel, we have a circular pattern of brush. There we go. We can see that beautiful circular pattern on that bezel there. There is polished edges. Remember I said I call this a fancy field watch. So we have these polished edges here on the side. And that's, I think, it catches the light, and that's what gives it its unique character. You can see when I move that around how that picks up on the light. The brushing, I will say, is very nice. It feels nice. I mean, the brushing on the side here, it goes along here. It has a very nice feel to it. It's definitely a high quality finish on this watch. If we look at the back, it is a solid case back. Solid case back. If we look at the back, it is not a solid case back. And let's see. There we go. So there's the movement in there. I'll talk about that a little later. It has a water resistance of 150 meters. I mean, I've seen recent dive watches come out that have a lower water resistance than that. So this is certainly a watch you can take anywhere. The crown, it's a unique shape. They have the same shape on their dive watch, so this could be perhaps a trademark kind of a look for MONTA watches. I'd call it a onion-esque, right? It's not a onion crown. Let's zoom in a little more so you can see there we go. Has a nice feel. It is polished, but it's large and it's easy to grip. It is a screw down crown, so I can unscrew it here, pull it out, easy to grab. So definitely a very functional crown. Screw that back in. There is the MONTA logo on the crown itself. So the movement in this Triumph is a Sellita SW300, which is basically a copy of an ETA 2892. And MONTA says that they adjust this to -5 +5 seconds per day. It is nicely decorated. You can see the Geneva stripes on there, and the decoration on the strap, I think, follows along with the kind of the brushed look of the watch. So definitely nice finishing. Oops, didn't mean to blind you guys there. So it is a hacking movement. It can be hand wound. It beats at 28,800 vibrations per hour. We have a power reserve of 38 hours. It does have a quick set date. So overall, it's nice finishing. It's nice to see on a watch like this, which is more of a field watch, but it is a fancy field watch. So it's nice to have the sapphire crystal on the back. Okay, so let's look at the dial on this Triumph. Now, Monta has 3 other dial colors. So they make a blue version, a silver dial, and a green dial. And those other colors, those all have a sunburst pattern to it. This is a matte black, so there is no pattern. If you look under a loop very close, you can see there is some kind of a little texture of whatever the case or the dial material is made of, but it's nothing that you see looking at the watch without a loop. So kind of starting outside of the dial here, I just want to reiterate this, the bezel, the way we have this brushing on the outside, it really helps kind of force your eye into the dial. So we have the contrast of the dark with the light. And then right on the edge of the bezel, there's this polished edge that just picks up on the light from different directions. So moving inside on the flange here, this is really interesting. The last review I did was on the Tudor Pelagos, and the Pelagos has a similar kind of a flange on here to where the flange is cut out and the indices, or the markers in this case, go into the flange. We have applied indices right here at 9. We've got this trapezoid here at 12, and then we have another one at 3, and then the rest are printed onto the dial. But even the printed ones go into cutouts on this black flange around the outside of the watch. Moving in, we have printed markers for the minutes, and it's kind of interesting. They are grouped together in 4s. So it uses kind of this, what I would half railroad track, right, that goes around. So that gives a different look to the dial here. Moving in from there, then we have the Arabic numbers with a larger 3 and 9. And I will be totally honest, when I looked at this online and I saw that 3 and 9, the design, at first it didn't gel with me. I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. You know, usually you see like the 3, 6, and 9, or maybe a 12, and then no numbers here or whatever. So the mix of the different sizes, you know, it's a little different. After having it for a week, it really has grown on me. So it's something that's a little different. I don't have a watch that has that. And it kind of ties in with these larger indices here. Down here at 6, we have the date. So I like, if you've watched my videos before, I like symmetrical designs, and putting the date down here, I like what it does. It kind of balances the larger applied marker here at 12 down here with the date. These are all lume filled, so the lume on here is very good. They use a Luminova, Super Luminova BGW9, so it has a blue-green color to it. It is a very good lume. It's a very nice lume. In fact, I went camping right when I got this watch. I left it on. I woke up in the morning. It was dark. I forgot I even had the watch on, and then I moved my arm. I'm like, oh, what is that? And I could tell the time. So I was very impressed by that. So moving in from the outside here, we have their logo, the text, the MONTA Triumph Automatic, and then down at the bottom, Swiss made. So legibility is killer. I mean, so we're looking at this here. So I guess legibility, we'll talk about the hands here. I kind of forgot about that. So we have these sword type hands, and they are both lume filled. So you can see this area here, that is lume filled. And then we have a second hand with a lume filled arrow at the end. And let's see if I can move this. There is and they're polished. So it's rhodium I'm not sure the technique on that, how that's done, if that's plated and then polished. But as I move this back and forth, let me see if I can show you. There is a bevel to the hands. So right down the center of the hands, this side is slightly facing one direction, and this is facing the other direction. Same thing with the minute hand. And what that does is that just catches the light in different directions. You know, part of what they said is, as far as their goal with this watch, part of it is legibility, right? And this is a very legible watch. So cool hands. That's the dial laid out. Let's get this on the wrist and see how that feels. So here is the Triumph on the wrist. Now my wrist size is 7¼ inches, or about 18½ centimeters in diameter. And wearing comfort, I can't say enough good things about how this feels on the wrist. Some factors. It is smaller, right? So it's a shade over 38 millimeters across. But on my wrist, it doesn't look small. I mean, we have this bezel here. I mean, it's adding some heft to it, some of that silver, and then the black dial. It's very comfortable. The way these lugs, the solid end links, and the way this strap fits in, it just hugs the wrist. Because it's a little smaller, because it's under 10 millimeters in height, it's not heavy on your wrist. So when you move your hand around, you don't have this big chunk of weight moving around. So all day wearing comfort is phenomenal. It is very, very comfortable on the wrist. It's adjusted right. It just fits right on the bottom. So I can't say enough nice things about the watch. When you look at the photos, you might think, oh, well, that crown is going to stick out and it's going to hit me. But remember, it's a little smaller diameter here, so that really doesn't dig into the top of my hand at all. So overall, wearing comfort, 2 thumbs up in my book. So here is the Triumph on the rubber strap, and as you can see, it completely changes the look of the watch. The black strap here, I think, really brings out more of the black here. It just has a different feel, and I've said this before, that if you're into watches, change your straps. It's so much fun. It changes the look of the watch. So this is, let me zoom in a little bit and show you how it fits onto the case here. So MONTA is a sister company to Everest Straps, and Everest Straps makes custom fit. You can see how this fits right around the case here. They make custom straps for Rolex and I believe Tudor now. So this is a perfect fit made just for the Triumph. Now, the bottom here, this fits. It has an opening here and allows for breathability. The pliability of the strap is great, but I think the key here is how this looks and how it fits in. And you can see if I hold the watch here, how it comes out on the side. The first experience I had with a custom rubber strap like this was on a Zin, a dive watch, a U2. I can't remember the particular model, but it had the same kind of a strap that came out, and I enjoyed it. And let me put this on my wrist. So I'm gonna keep talking here. Nice buckle on here. You can see this. It's a nice sturdy, well, come on, focus. Focus, there we go. It's a nice contour, brushed buckle, kind of beefy. Fits right in, 2 keepers back there. And so you see on the wrist here, let me zoom out a bit. There we go. Nice, feel very comfortable, but I think more importantly, I love the way it looks. It really changed up the look of the watch, especially after wearing it for, about a week here. So this is the Triumph on the rubber strap. And now it's time for what would I change and what would I keep? So what would I change? I kind of mentioned it a little earlier, the different sizes of the numerals, the 3 and the 9 being bigger than the rest. It's a little different. Maybe you chalk that up as character. It's a design, right? Maybe once I saw it with the 3 and the 9 at the same height, maybe I wouldn't like it. I don't know. So that's the one thing that perhaps I would want to change. Other than that, I can't really think of anything that I would want to change. What do I like? Well, first of all, I mentioned it just a second ago, wearing experience. This is so comfortable on the wrist. You put this on in the morning, you wear it all day, you go out in the evening. You forget it's even on your wrist until you look down and go, wow, that's a cool looking watch. The lume is killer. I love the height, and that goes back to the wearing comfort. It feels so comfortable on the wrist. And then the other aspect here is legibility. So it is super legible. I can look down, just a quick glance at the wrist. I'm driving, I can see the time. I have an old car and the clock doesn't work in it anymore. So it forces me to look at the watches, right? Yeah, that's it. So I love the legibility. So my takeaway on the MONTA Triumph, I believe that this watch could fulfill that one watch kind of a scenario. So, you're sitting around with your buddies, you're having a beer, and you're like, oh, if you could do one watch, or you get questions all the time, oh, my husband's looking for a watch, can you recommend a watch? This guy here, it's a Swiss-made mechanical movement, a tried and true mechanical movement. You can get serviced anywhere. It's a right size, easy to change strap options with the 20 millimeters, as well as MONTA making custom fit straps like we saw that rubber strap. This watch is very versatile. The price on this guy is $1,550 on this bracelet. On the rubber strap, it's $1,375. So $1,500 is a lot of money. I get that. I totally understand that. I have 2 kids with money going into their college fund. So I understand that $1,500 is a lot of money. But I do think that with the MONTA here, you are getting quite a bit more bang for your buck, okay? And it's one of those things, I watch reviews all the time, audio stuff and stuff for around the house. And what I want to get out of a review is what did that person think? How did it feel? What I can go to MONTA's website and read the specs and see photos and stuff, but the feel of this watch, the polishing, the way that it sits on my wrist, the fact that it's so comfortable, all these little things add up to make it an enjoyable wearing experience. And that is the experience for me, right? Everybody's mileage may vary. Everybody has different tastes. Some people may look at this watch and go, 38, there's no way I'm putting that on my wrist. But for me, it works. So once again, this is the MONTA Triumph, and this is $1,550 on the bracelet and $1,375 on the rubber strap. Hey, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, leave comments below, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.